What is going on, everyone? It's MarsJ8 here, bringing you guys the Monday recap the events from last week. Let's get right into it. We finally got the new trailer for the upcoming Avengers movie, Avengers Infinity War, and dear God, does it look beautiful. The trailer also hit 1,147,438 views within the first 7 hours of it actually going live, which is a massive amount of views for a movie trailer. To give some perspective to it, you have Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer, which when that first came out, that hit around 780,000. And the last Captain America movie, Captain America Civil War, that hit around 400,000 within their first 7 hours. So that's just giving some perspective on it. Anyways, if you guys are interested in checking out the trailer, it'll be down below. Batman is getting a pretty badass anime adaptation called Batman Ninja, where we get to see some beautiful Japan Batman duking it out with the Joker in some beautiful Japanese animation. Trailer will be linked down below, and I do love these kind of weird adaptations that they do with these DC characters, so I'm interested in seeing this. Moving on, Netflix has confirmed what we all pretty much have guessed at this point, and that is Stranger Things Season 3 is officially happening, and filming is actually starting soon. There's also a number of other little tiny details that have been floating in that give a little light to what might be coming. For one, the Duffer Brothers were pretty vague on whether Callie and her group were going to be making a return, so it seems like the story is still going to be focused on Eleven and her group. I'm only saying this because I know that there was quite a bit of speculation and concern floating around that Season 3 might be more focused on Callie and her group's adventures rather than Eleven. Speaking of this, while we wait for Season 3, are there any shows you guys would recommend me check out on Netflix? Because I have been looking for something new. Moving on, Destiny 1 had some ups and downs last week as they canceled their final live stream for the new Curse of Osiris expansion in order to announce some major changes that are actually coming to Destiny 2 soon. They're bringing in a new weapon class called Masterwork Weapons, which have rerollable stats. They're adding in a new emote interface to allow players to customize 4 slots instead of just 1. They're bringing in private matches, I think, in early 2018. They're adding in new rewards for more engaged players, and they're also improving the rewards for completing activities like Lost Sector, Adventures, Strikes, and Crucible matches. And they're adding new ways to spend currency, including legendary shards. Now, this is all following the dissatisfaction of players about Destiny 2's endgame, or lack thereof, which is honestly nothing new to the Destiny community, who had to deal with something pretty similar when Destiny 1 first launched. I actually have to admit, it's pretty funny hearing my friends who came into Destiny 1 after some of the major expansions had launched, like the Taken King, and hearing them complain about these things as if it's the first time that they've experienced it. The announcement of these changes also follows the backlash of a mechanic players discovered in Destiny 2 that Bungie had secretly put into the game to throttle high amounts of experience gain from players who were grinding out missions too quickly, while still informing the player that they were earning the original amount of XP. Bungie was soon called out on this, with players and fans asking if this was actually a bug or a mechanic in the game. Bungie stayed silent through it, so the internet did what the internet does best and speculated and concluded that the throttling was a way to get players to go buy more bright engrams, which are this game's form of loot boxes. Bungie then swooped in to save the day and probably to cover their asses from the fucking loot box war that's been waged against EA right now. And they released a statement saying that they weren't happy with the system in place and that they were turning it off. They proceeded to say that they were sorry and that they'll be much more transparent with their fans moving forward, and all was well in the land of Bungie. Until it was discovered that after they turned off the systems, they secretly increased the amount of experience needed to level up by double the original amount, effectively doing nothing to resolve the issue and instead actually punishing the casual player. Just another case of the loot box plague that has been infecting the gaming community and has been turning artists against their own damn audience. And with that, that can lead right into our next story with everyone's favorite corporate sham of game developers, EA, and how they have been treating their beloved Star Wars Battlefront franchise. EA's Blake Jorgenson had a telecom conference where he brought up the issues of microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront, saying that they needed to find a way to balance them for the players who had more time than money and the players who had more money than time. He also brought up the reason that Star Wars Battlefront 2 didn't have any cosmetic items was because it would violate the Star Wars canon, because God forbid you violate the canon of a game where Luke Skywalker is fighting Darth Maul or Rey is fighting Darth Vader. I mean, God forbid you violate that canon. I like how he also uses the most absurd example possible by using a white or pink Darth Vader as an example of violating the canon. He also fails to mention that they actually had character customization in Battlefront 1 for the soldiers. Last but not least, he got on the topic of Visceral Games, the former developing team behind the Dead Space franchise and who were working on their own standalone Star Wars title before EA trashed it and axed the team. He says that EA kept reviewing the Star Wars title that they were working on and decided that it was too linear and players wouldn't like it like they would 5 to 10 years ago. He then says exactly why EA disbanded the team with an amazing quote. Cut the bridge when you realize you can't really make a lot of money on something. What an absolute gem of a quote from you guys. And a grand spit in the many fan faces. Well done, EA. Great job. Links will be down below if you guys are interested. Head of Apple Music Jimmy Iovine had some pretty interesting things to say about the music streaming services like Spotify in an interview with Billboard about the troubles of the music business. He claims that the streaming service is not a great business and that it can work out for big companies like Amazon, Apple, and Google who have the service as a smaller piece of their business and not the main focus of their income. But for companies like Spotify, it just isn't making them any money. He even touched on the subject of Netflix a little and how they work around the issue by releasing their own original content, and that the main problem with the streaming service isn't so much the prices people have to pay in order to use them or use them as effectively as other streaming services. It's more along the lines of the free alternatives that are available to them, which is something that I myself have always been conscious of. When this whole music streaming service thing started to boom, I always wondered how companies like Spotify were going to fare in the long run with their premium packages when there are other options like YouTube that are free and available on the internet. I found the interview actually to be pretty interesting read from somebody who's been on both sides of the fence of the issue in the record industry, with Jimmy Iovine actually originally being the CEO of Interscope Records before he left to head to Apple Music. It gives some of the idea of the changes we may see in the future, and if you guys are interested in checking it out, I will link it down below for you. Senses Fail has announced their 7th studio album, If There's Light, It Will Find You, which is set to be released on February 16th. Along with the announcement, we also got details, including the artwork, track list, and pre-orders, which can be found below. And we also got the first single of the album called Double Cross, which can be found in the new music section below as well. A Day to Remember has announced they are heading on a new North American tour called the 15 Years in the Making Tour with support from Papa Roach, Falling in Reverse, and The Devil Wears Prada. Dates released. Of Mice and Men has announced they are heading on a new tour with support from Bless the Fall, Cane Hill, and Fire from the Gods. Dates released. 4 Years Strong has announced they are heading on a new co-headliner tour with Less Than Jake with support from Direct Hit and Bearing. Dates released. Rock and the Rage has announced their 2018 lineup, including Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Breaking Benjamin, Stone Sour, 3 Days Grace, The Used, Under Oath, Asking Alexandria, Black Veil Bride, Senses Fail, Code Orange, and many, many more. Check those out below. UK's Download Festival has announced their 2018 lineup as well, including Bullet for My Valentine, Marilyn Manson, Parkway Drive, Rise Against, Baby Metal, Alex is on Fire, Black Veil Brides, Asking Alexandria, Neck Deep, Mayday Parade, and many more as well. Check those out below. Now it's time for some new music of the week. We have Mice and Men, Defy, August Burns Red, Last Christmas, Senses Failed, Double Cross, DMX, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Bad Fortune, which is a new band featuring former members of Crown the Empire, Save Me, Five Finger Death Punch, Gone Away, that's an Offspring's cover, Creeper, Fairytale of New York, Somos, Permanently Lost, Too Close to Touch, Before I Cave In. And for new music videos, we have New Found Glory, 20 Years From Now, Corrosion of Conformity, Wolf Named Crow, Unlocking the Truth, My Chains, The Wombats, Lemon to a Knife Fight, John Nolan, who is the vocalist of Taking Back Sunday, Lost With You, We Were Sharks, Stay, Magash, Wolves, that's a Selena Gomez cover, Terror, Universal, Dig You a Hole, and Feared, Your Black is My White. Be sure to check out all of those down below if you guys are interested. Thank you all for joining me for this episode. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the episode, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you want more, and I will see you all on the next one. Mars out.